Rejection never announces itself gently. It shows up as silence after a message you hoped would be answered, as a door quietly closing on something you once believed was meant for you. And sometimes it arrives from the people you trusted most, those who saw your heart and still turned away. Maybe you've tried to brush it off, to act like it didn't matter. But late at night, it lingers. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. Because being told in one way or another, you're not wanted here, it touches a place deep inside, a place where your hopes once lived. And if you're honest with yourself, rejection doesn't just hurt. It questions you. It whispers things you try not to believe. Maybe you're not enough. Maybe you're too much. Maybe you should stop trying. But what if that voice is wrong? What if rejection isn't the end of your story, but the beginning of your transformation? The Stoics understood this. They knew that life would not always offer applause, that the world would not always say yes. And they believed that our greatest strength isn't found in acceptance. It's forged in how we respond to the lack of it. You're not here to chase approval. You're here to grow, to become unshakable in who you are, even when the world walks away. This isn't about pretending rejection doesn't hurt. It's about learning to let it shape you without letting it shatter you. So today, let's begin with something gentle, but true. You are not broken because they left. You are not less because they said no. You are standing in the space where something greater can be built. Let's walk through this together. 7 timeless Stoic lessons, not just to survive rejection, but to rise from it. Ready? Let's begin. Lesson 1. Rejection isn't an end. It's a redirection. You thought it was meant for you. The job, the relationship, the opportunity that made your heart light up when you imagined it. You reached for it with everything you had, and it slipped away. And for a moment, it feels like the ground beneath you gave out, as if life took something that belonged to you and said, "Not this time." But what if rejection isn't the end of the road? What if it's the beginning of a better one? The Stoic philosophers didn't run from pain. They met it with open eyes and asked, "What is this here to teach me?" That's the question you get to ask now. Because even though it doesn't feel like it, being turned away isn't a punishment. It's an invitation to turn inward, to ask yourself, was that truly the right thing for me? Was I chasing what I truly need, or what I thought would make me enough? Sometimes life closes a door, not to hurt you, but to protect you from something your heart couldn't yet see. And that kind of redirection, it's hard, but it's honest. You see, rejection breaks the illusion. It strips away the stories you built about what you should have by now. And in that silence, after the goodbye, after the silence, after the opportunity fades, you find something else. You find yourself. Not the version of you that bends to fit into someone else's expectations. Not the version of you that chases success only to feel emptier when you get there, but the version that dares to pause, to breathe, and to ask, what if I'm being guided somewhere better? Seneca once wrote, "A setback has often cleared the way for greater things." Not because the setback feels good, but because it wakes you up. You start to realize that the job you didn't get, it made space for the one that fits your soul, not just your resume. That the person who walked away, They freed you to meet someone who sees your full worth, not just your surface. That the dream that didn't happen, it pushed you to dream wider, deeper, and more truthfully. You're not being punished. You're being reoriented. And maybe right now you don't know what comes next. That's okay. You don't have to know. You just have to trust that this pause, this no, is not the final word. It's a comma in a sentence still unfolding. You are not a failure because something didn't work out. You are a traveler, still moving, still discovering. And sometimes the greatest journeys begin when the path you thought was yours disappears. So take a breath. Feel what you feel. But don't stop walking, because rejection is not where your story ends. It's where it begins again. Wiser, braver, and more aligned with who you're meant to become. Let life redirect you. It may be leading you home. Lesson 2, you are not their opinion. It stings, doesn't it, when someone judges you, when they dismiss you, underestimate you, or say things that cut deeper than they should. Maybe they told you you weren't good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, or maybe they didn't need to say anything at all. Sometimes silence carries its own weight, and you carried that weight like it meant something about you. But here's the truth. You are not their opinion. Their words are not a mirror. Their rejection isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their perspective, their filters, their limitations, not yours. You are more than what someone else sees, more than their approval, more than their recognition. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." So ask yourself gently, why are you holding on to words that weren't rooted in love? Why are you shaping your identity around voices that never really saw you? You don't need to be understood by everyone, and you won't be. Not because there's something wrong with you, but because not everyone is capable of seeing deeply. Not everyone has eyes to recognize quiet strength. Not everyone knows how to hold space for what they don't understand. But that's not your burden to carry. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to shrink so they feel more comfortable. You don't need to perform to earn belonging. You already belong. To yourself. To this moment. To the quiet knowing inside you that says, I am still worthy, even when they don't see it. This is where your power begins. The moment you stop outsourcing your self-worth to someone else's reaction. The moment you stand in front of your reflection and say, I get to define me. Not their praise. Not their silence. Not their misunderstanding. Just you. What they think of you may change tomorrow. But your integrity, your truth, that's what stays. That's what you wake up with every morning. That's what carries you forward when everything else falls away. You will never have control over the way people see you, but you have full power over the way you see yourself. So when someone tries to put you in a box, don't climb in. When they try to label you, don't wear it. When they try to tell you who you are, listen to the voice inside that already knows. You are not their opinion. You are your own becoming, and you are becoming someone resilient, someone whole, someone who rises not because of what they say, but in spite of it. Keep rising. Keep returning to the truth. You are already enough, and no one gets to decide that but you. Lesson 3. Detach from the outcome. Stay true to the effort. You gave it everything, your heart, your energy, your time. You prepared. You showed up. You gave your best. And still, Things didn't go the way you hoped. It's painful, isn't it? To pour yourself into something and not see it bloom. To feel like your effort disappeared into silence. To wonder, was it even worth it? But what if it was? What if the outcome wasn't the point? What if your effort, quiet, consistent, intentional, was the reward all along? You see, life doesn't always reward you right away. Sometimes it feels like the world didn't even notice. But deep down, you noticed. You know how hard you tried. You know what it took to keep going when no one was watching. That matters more than you think. The Stoics taught that the only thing you truly own is your effort, not the result. You control your actions, your integrity, your commitment to show up fully, no matter how uncertain the outcome. And when you live this way, with quiet discipline, you build something inside you that no failure can take away. You don't need to chase the applause. You don't need the outcome to validate your effort. Because when your actions align with your values, when you move with purpose, not performance, you're already winning. But it takes courage to let go of the outcome, to send that message and accept silence, to apply for the opportunity and face rejection, to love fully, knowing it might not be returned. It takes strength to keep showing up when results don't come on your timeline, but that's the path of growth, of peace, of deep, lasting confidence. Because when you're no longer attached to the result, you become unstoppable. You're no longer held hostage by disappointment. You're free to keep going with clarity and purpose, knowing that who you are becoming is far more important than what you are achieving. Ask yourself this: if no one saw what you did today, would you still be proud of it? Would the effort still matter if no one clapped, if no one called back, if the door stayed closed? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. You were never meant to control everything, only your response, only your direction, only your dedication. So let go of the outcome. Not because it doesn't matter, but because it's not where your power lives. Your power lives in the process, in the persistence, in the quiet decision to keep showing up with love, with effort, with grace, even when it goes unseen. Every time you choose the work over the reward, you build a deeper kind of strength, one that can't be taken away by loss, rejection, or delay. One that stays with you, quietly anchoring you, even when the world says, it's not enough. But it is. You are. So today, give your full effort. Let go of the rest, and walk forward with peace, knowing your path is already meaningful, because you're the one walking it. Lesson 4. Pain is the first teacher. Stillness is the second. You never wanted it to happen this way. Not the heartbreak. Not the silence. Not the moment everything cracked open and you were left sitting with the pieces. But here you are. And though you would never choose pain, it has a way of choosing you, quietly, suddenly, and without asking permission. And when it does, it speaks in a voice louder than any comfort ever could. Pain gets your attention. It slows you down. It strips away the noise and forces you to face yourself. Raw, unguarded, real. And in that place, something begins to shift. It's not immediate. It's not clean. It doesn't arrive with answers or relief. But it does open a door to truth, to reflection, to the kind of growth that only emerges through discomfort. You don't need to run from your pain. You don't need to pretend it doesn't hurt. Feel it. Let it pass through you. Because pain, when honored and not resisted, becomes a mirror. It shows you what matters, what you've been carrying for too long, what you're finally ready to release. But once pain has spoken, once its fire has burned through the surface, you're left with something else: stillness. And this is where your deeper teacher begins. Stillness is not emptiness, it's not numbness, it's presence. It's quiet awareness without judgment. It's the breath between thoughts, the moment you stop chasing and simply sit with what is. In that stillness, you begin to hear yourself again. Not the voice shaped by others' expectations, not the noise of your past mistakes, but your voice, soft, steady, wise. This is where clarity begins. This is where healing happens. Because when you stop pushing, when you stop running, you begin to understand. You begin to see that you're not broken. You're becoming, that your pain wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something deeper. Stillness gives you the space to respond, not react, to breathe before speaking, to feel before deciding, to live from within instead of always chasing something outside. And you don't need to earn this stillness. You don't need to prove you deserve it. It's already yours, waiting patiently beneath the surface of all your striving. So when the pain comes, and it will, listen to it. But don't let it define you. Let it teach you. Let it bring you into stillness. And in that stillness, let yourself come home to who you've always been: strong, grounded, whole. This is how you grow. Not by forcing your way forward, but by learning to sit still long enough to feel what's real. Long enough to remember that your worth has never been tied to how fast you heal, only to your courage to face what hurts, and to let that pain gently carry you back to peace. And maybe, just maybe, that's where your power truly begins. Lesson 5. Strength is built in silence. There are seasons in your life when the world goes quiet, when the applause fades, when no one's watching, no one's cheering, and all you're left with is the echo of your own breath, your own thoughts, your own will to keep going. It's in these quiet spaces, unnoticed, uncelebrated, that real strength begins to take root. Not the loud kind, not the kind you post for others to see, but the kind that grows slowly, quietly. Deep inside you, you build this strength not when things are going well, but when they're not. When the weight feels heavy, when the doubt creeps in, when you have every reason to give up, and you don't. You show up for yourself in silence. You get up early, tired, and still move forward. You stay patient when answers don't come. You keep your promises to yourself, even when no one would know if you broke them. That's strength. That's what transforms you. The world often praises the finish line. But you are learning to honor the steps no one sees. The nights you cry and still rise the next day. The moments you speak kindly to yourself when your mind wants to tear you down. The hours spent rebuilding what life tried to break. There's something sacred about this silence. It's where distractions fall away, where comparison loses its grip, and you begin to hear the rhythm of your own resilience. You stop chasing validation. You stop needing to explain yourself. And you start becoming grounded, not in noise, not in approval, but in truth. In silence, you remember that strength isn't just about pushing through. It's also about softening, pausing, listening, being with yourself fully, without running, fixing, or hiding. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is simply sit in your own stillness and not rush out of it, to let the silence say what words cannot, to feel the burn of growth without needing anyone else to notice. You don't have to perform your healing. You don't have to prove your worth. You are allowed to build quietly, to grow privately, to strengthen silently. And when the time comes, when the moment finally asks you to rise, you'll move with a different kind of power, not loud, not desperate, but steady, certain, rooted in the quiet work you've been doing all along. So trust the silence you're in now. Trust the emptiness, the space, the still nights where nothing seems to change. Because underneath it all, something is changing. You are. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize the silence never broke you. It built you. Stronger than before, truer than ever, and more unshakable than you thought you could be. Lesson 6. Rejection reveals what you still cling to. Rejection stings. No matter how strong you think you are, it hits a tender place inside you. It makes your chest tighten, your thoughts spiral. It whispers lies about your worth, and sometimes you believe them. But there's something underneath that sting, something more honest, more revealing. Rejection doesn't just hurt, it exposes. It shows you exactly what you've been clinging to in silence. The approval, the need to belong, the dream you pinned all your identity to, the love you hoped would validate your existence. And when it's taken away, you feel lost, not because you lost something, but because a piece of who you thought you were was tied to it. That's the gift of rejection. Yes, a gift, wrapped in pain but honest in its message. It doesn't say, "You're not enough." It says, "You've attached yourself to something that was never meant to define you." It reminds you of where your identity has quietly depended on things outside your control. It might be a job, a relationship, a dream, a version of your life you built in your mind and watched fall apart. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can keep clinging, tighten your grip, fight the flow of life, or you can pause, feel the ache, and gently ask yourself, what am I truly holding on to here? Because the truth is, you're not afraid of the loss. You're afraid of the emptiness it leaves behind, the space where certainty used to live, the quiet where attachment used to distract you. But that space, that terrifying silence, is not a void. It's an invitation to return to yourself, to stand in front of a mirror not asking, "Why didn't they choose me?" but instead, "Why did I believe I needed them to feel whole?" You've survived every rejection before, even the ones that broke you, especially the ones that broke you. And what you found, eventually, was that each one stripped away something false, something fragile, something you were never meant to carry forever. Rejection doesn't define your worth. It reveals where your worth was misdirected. And once you see that clearly, you begin to reclaim yourself. You stop begging life to validate you. You stop bending to fit into spaces that shrink you. You stop confusing attachment with love or praise with identity. You stand, not because you've healed everything, but because you've learned to loosen your grip. You don't need everything to work out the way you imagined. You just need to remember who you are when everything falls away. So the next time rejection shows up, let it speak. Let it hurt, but also let it teach. Because underneath the pain, there's truth. And within that truth, there's freedom. The freedom to let go, to grow, and to finally be held, not by what you cling to, but by who you're becoming. Lesson 7. The path to mastery is paved with rejection. Mastery. It's a word we all want to hear. We dream of being great, of reaching the pinnacle, of standing there having made it. But what if I told you that mastery is not a destination? It's not a place you arrive at, wearing a crown or holding a trophy. No, the path to mastery is something far more intimate. It's carved through the failures, the struggles, and most importantly, the rejections you face. Yes, rejection. It's not a roadblock. It's the map. In the moments when you're turned away, when things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel defeated. It's easy to think that you're not cut out for this, that you'll never get it right. But rejection is not an indication of your limits. It's an invitation to grow, to stretch, and to improve. Think about it. The greatest masters you admire, they didn't get there by avoiding rejection. They didn't run from the moments where others said no. They faced those moments head on. They let rejection show them where they were weak, where they were incomplete, where they needed to get better. Each rejection taught them something new. It revealed a gap in their skills. It pushed them to dig deeper, to work harder, to transform their weaknesses into strengths. And here's the truth. Mastery is not about perfection. It's about resilience. It's about the ability to take the hits, to stumble, to fall, and then to rise again, stronger than before. Rejection is part of the process. It's a lesson in disguise. Every time you're rejected, you're given the opportunity to reassess, to refine, and to try again. What matters most is how you respond. Do you retreat, letting rejection dictate your worth? Or do you lean into it, using it as fuel to become better, to push harder, to get closer to the person you want to become? Mastery isn't for the faint of heart. It's for the ones who can endure the pain of rejection and still keep moving forward. It's for the ones who, when they fall, choose to rise. This path you're on, it's not linear. It's not a straight shot from where you are to where you want to be. It's a winding road filled with setbacks, obstacles, and moments when you'll wonder if it's all worth it. But here's the thing. Every rejection is a step closer to mastery. It's not a sign that you're not good enough. It's proof that you're growing, that you're learning, that you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone and inching closer to greatness. So when rejection comes knocking at your door, don't close it. Open it wide. Welcome it in, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. A guide showing you where you need to grow, where you need to evolve, where you need to sharpen your skills. Because mastery is built on the foundation of rejection. It's not the smooth road that makes you great. It's the rocky, difficult, rejection-filled path that shapes you into the person you're destined to become. Remember, the road to mastery isn't easy, but it's worth every rejection and every lesson learned along the way. Conclusion. As you stand at the crossroads of your own journey, remember this. Rejection is not a reflection of who you are, but of where you are on your path to greatness. It is not the end, but the beginning of your next step forward. Each rejection you face is a lesson that refines your character, strengthens your resolve, and brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. Your potential is far greater than any setback or failure. The challenges you encounter are not obstacles. They are the very tools that will shape you into a master of your craft, a person who is resilient, determined, and unshakable. Embrace rejection, learn from it, and keep moving forward with strength and grace. Now, take this knowledge and use it. The next time rejection knocks on your door, open it with confidence, knowing that it is not the end, but an invitation to grow. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to take action today. Don't let rejection hold you back. Use it as your stepping stone to success. And remember, the journey to mastery is never easy, but it's always worth it. Subscribe, like, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this today. Together, we'll continue on the path to greatness. Keep moving forward. Keep learning. Keep growing. You're not alone on this journey.